Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Educational Gamer and we are in the new year 1963 of the space program. So we're in our third budgeting period. We have managed very well in for us last time. We are now at above 12,500 prestige, which does mean that we are earning a very nice income of 21 million over here. We've beat the Soviets to a couple of things, but just last time we were reminded how narrow that race really is when the Soviets did put a man into orbit just one turn after we did. So they managed to leap ahead a little bit by putting a man in space and in orbit on the same term in the same mission, whereas we needed a little bit time between that. So that really shows you the dangers of being too complacent. So nevertheless, the first season or the first year of budget season is, I think, a very good time to plan ahead a little bit. So we've got 16 turns left to achieve hopefully 35,000 prestige, at least to get a little bit more funding. Right now we'd actually drop down in our funding if we only kept our current prestige level. So we need to push ourselves a little bit ahead, and we need to decide how we do that. But right now I think it's time to do a little bit more long-term planning, since we got 16 seasons to do so, or 4 years. Now, in the overview of the programs that we are currently running, you can see Project Mercury is still around, and we could still do 2 missions. Specifically, we could do a joint launch and orbital flight. That would be rather expensive at 8.5 million, but it would allow us to not only put a man into space, but to conduct this joint manned launch. So that is something that happens if there's synchronized launch of 2 spacecraft so that the orbits intersect, and we would get the extended duration. The alternative mission over here would just be a very long orbital flight. That would also give us the extended duration achievement, but I think, if we'd want to do so, it probably makes sense to just do this mission and be finished with that. Now, that is a very intriguing process, but it would not necessarily, it's not necessarily required that we do so. The alternative then is that we look at the programs that are available on Earth, and I think our long-term planning might still be either to do Apollo or maybe a Gemini direct descent vehicle test. Nevertheless, I think it's prudent right now to maybe go for Project Gemini. Project Gemini historically was in between the first Mercury flights and the Project Apollo, where the Americans learned a lot of things about navigating in space. They honed their system, so to say, and that is reflected pretty well in game. You can see that there are a lot of missions that can be flown by the Gemini craft. And it starts with the uncrewed orbital flight test and goes all the way to very complicated maneuvers with orbital rendezvous, with a crewed vehicle, docking, EVAs, all of that thing combined. And that would not necessarily be a bad thing. We can also see that it would require a couple of things. So I think Project Gemini might be a very nice start. We could also look at the other things, but you can see that they are a little bit more expensive, generally require a little bit more from us, and I think they might even be a little bit more difficult. Yeah, you can see, for example, the direct descent vehicle does require that at least we do a suborbital, uncrewed suborbital flight of Project Gemini, or we'd face major obstacles in doing so. Not sure whether that would necessarily actually be the same with the Apollo things. Doesn't look like it. There are some drawbacks, but it's only due to the earlier flights. Nevertheless, there is a significant problem with Project Apollo, 2 actually. One is that it requires a rocket launchable, capable of launching much more than we are capable of doing right now, on the one hand, and on the other hand it costs 43 million just to open that up. So that's really far out of our range. Now, with Project Gemini we could open it up, but it would nearly spend all of our funding, so I don't think that's a good idea just now. We might do so next turn, but I think this turn it's a little bit too expensive. So, nevertheless, you can see that there is a rocket requirement over here as well, of course. So the later ones in particular, so the Gemini capsule seems to be of a weight of about 4 tons, so 3,850 kilograms. More or less, can be a little bit more. Now, that is something that we cannot lift into a low Earth orbit with our current missiles. Our current best missile is the Atlas, I think? The Atlas booster. Human-rated rocket capable of launching 4,000 kilogram to suborbital flight, but it's not actually capable of achieving orbit with that mass. So we need a little bit better rocket than the Atlas to actually do so. So I think that's what we want to do then. So let's go to... Oh, sorry. There's one more thing actually. So we need to think a little bit about what we can do. And I think what we actually require is the Titan, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah, the Titan 2 booster. Human-rated rocket capable of launching 3,800, more than 3,800 kilograms to a low Earth orbit. So that is what we need. It's quite a bit more expensive, it is a little bit more difficult to research, but more importantly, we cannot open this. And that is because we do not have the extension on the build area over here. So that's a little bit unfortunate. There's one more thing that we can do so, though, and that is we have a lot of potential things over here on the lunar side. So doing things with the moon on the moon would be very nice. The Pioneer 4, of course, is ready to go at a weight of only 6 kilos. That is pretty easy to launch. But the other ones are a little bit more difficult. Even Lunar number 2 over here, 38 kilograms, and Ranger 3, 300 kilograms. These are things that we cannot lift right now. In fact, if we look at our programs over here, you can see we're just able to launch 6 kilos into space. So that's no good either. So we'd also need another rocket for that. And that is very likely the Atlas Agena, which is a variation of the Atlas rocket. It's a little bit cheaper. It's not human rated, but it would be capable of launching a couple of more things to a lunar orbit or even to other planets. So since we do have some money now, I think it would be a very nice idea to open this program. And that is very lovely. Now that means we have right now 3 rocket programs open, including the Juno 2 over here, which again is just going to be enough for one more mission. So I think it's fine to keep it as the reliability as is. We don't need to further improve that. I think that's going to be alright. We're going to think about skipping on the Atlas very soon, but we cannot research it any further anyway. What we can research, however, is of course the Atlas Agena booster. So let's pick Justin over here at the very least to start researching it. And I think we might start with Steven over here as well. I think Steven is in fact a rocket scientist. Quite literally. Yes, he is. I would like him to be a little bit better at that. The other guys seem to be at training. These 2 guys really aren't specialized in rockets. They're much more crewed spacecraft personnel. So we'll keep them off for now. It's not that urgent that we get this booster to start right away, so that should be fine. On the mission components then, we are researching still the Pioneer space probe and the orbiting Frog space probe. I think a lot of these people are just here because they had nothing better to do and we couldn't afford the training, because we needed to make the last push just to make sure that we could beat the Soviets. Now, since we don't need to do that anymore, we can think about whether it makes sense to put people here on the research. I think we might send one Dennis over here on this task. It's gonna be a very marginal improvement. Likewise with Emilio over here. Very slim improvement actually, but I think it's alright if we have some people working on it a little bit. And that does leave us with all of these people who are currently idle. Since we cannot open the Mercury program right now, I'm gonna send these people to training, which I think is a good idea. Yeah, definitely. Crewed spacecraft, yeah, go to training. Space probes, yeah, you should go to training as well. We could of course think about opening a couple of other missions on the orbits, but I don't think that's a good idea yet. Good spacecraft as well, that's fine. So a lot of people sent to training, likewise on the astronauts. We are not likely to need you very soon, so we will send you likewise to training. I think your piloting could be a little bit better. You're a very good person as well right now. Right. Good. Mission control. We have 5 people who are available, and it would be lovely to think a little bit about what we're doing over here. So 2 trajectory people, 1 spacecraft system, propulsion, and a crew and payloads guy. So would it be viable then to launch the Pioneer? It does require 5 people, but it's unlikely to be the correct 5 people. Who do we need? Yeah, propulsion systems, navigation, experiments, and flight director. It's not something that we have available right now, but then again, I'm reluctant to keep these things open for so long. And specifically the Pioneer 4, we're just keeping 1 rocket program open for that right now. So frankly, I think it's time to start this. And it would finally be the first lunar mission for us. So yeah, let's go ahead, let's start that, let's assemble it now. Let's auto-assign the best people. And these are horrible people, to some degree. Booster, didn't we have someone? Yeah, you are pretty good though. So we only really need a flight director. Jose, what are you good at? Trajectory. So let's have a look at it. Who is our best flight director? Now I suspect it's going to be, of course, Federus over here and Chastity, who are both in training, which I do appreciate, and I don't think we should pull these guys off from training. We've got Frank over here, who's doing crews and payloads. You're 97. That's really good, actually. So that is everyone. 33, 97 training. I'm kind of thinking of turning you over to be our future flight director. But right now, I think our best choice, unless we want to pull off one of these guys, and I don't think we want that, so let's for the moment use Jose over here, Jose Burnham, and he'll be the one to conduct this flight. He's going to be the worst of the bunch. That's kind of normal for a flight director, and the other people are actually quite decent. Except maybe Eric. These are top-notch people, Eric. Yeah. But I think that's fine. So yeah, let's confirm this. Losing a little bit of money, but that's fine. And that does leave us with very few people actually. So we should probably look at hiring some more flight controllers. 91, yeah, there's some good candidates over here. So lots of people who are not that bad at being trained up. In fact, we might think about these people. So propulsion, it would be nice to have a second propulsion. Operations is fairly good as well. You're all very young. And by now I don't really care about your upkeep so much. So I think you're good people. Francesca over here with a 90. You're nearly as good. You're a little bit younger, which I appreciate. But I don't think any one of these will retire. So what have we got then? You could do trajectory, you could do mission operations, you could do systems. You can't really do anything, so I'm gonna pick these 3 guys, and I think that's gonna be fine. Yeah, there we go. They will of course be trained up. Now, time to think about upgrading things. So, firstly, I think it would be a good thing to open up the medium weight rockets and allow us to have more concurrent rocket programs, although I like to keep that down to a low degree. It's gonna cost 2 million, last 3 seasons, the upgrade. I think that's fine. It's gonna cost us a little bit to keep up, but I think that's something that we will long term, at the very least, require to do. We can also think about upgrading our headquarters. Now, I think that's also a good idea, just because it allows us to run more concurrent programs. At the moment we are actually capped at that. Don't think it's gonna be a hard limit to us. And lastly, I would like to hire more flight controllers, but this season we'll not actually be able to do so anyway, because I just did that, this year. So it doesn't make sense to upgrade that now. Let's wait 2 seasons, then that will save us a little bit of money, and I think that's going to be alright. Good. I think that concludes the start of this year, so let's end this season. Let's watch these things being improved just a little bit. Oh yeah, the Atlas Agena. And let's see whether we can do our first lunar mission over here. Launch mission. Yeah, we are going to monitor it, of course. And here you can see that this is our first mission where we're actually we're breaking free from Earth and doing something else entirely.
15, 14, 13, 12, 11,
All preparations going
10,
well. The countdown.
9.
And this is
We have
the
ignition
only time that we
sequence
really
start.
want to use this rocket.
The
So
engines are armed. 4, 3, 2,
very good.
1, 0. We have commit. We have.
So yeah, we only really built this rocket for this mission, and to sort of get our people to work on something and just continue to increase our understanding of future rockets. Looking fine so far. Specifically, the rocket I think is working well. So from now on, it's only the probe that's gonna fly in. Oh, that's a nice shape. That's gonna fly. Yeah, there we go. Very good. That's gonna fly to the moon. It's not gonna land on the moon. It's just gonna fly by it, take some pictures, and there we go. Lots of prestige points actually for a very nice mission over here. And that will allow us to close one of the missions and one of the rocket programs. So that I think is very nice for us. And we get the mapping of the surface of the moon. I think that's something that the Soviets have actually not achieved yet. They certainly achieved the lunar flyby and the lunar probe before us, which is slightly disappointing, but nevertheless that is very nice to see over here, and that's very good. Orbital flight. How did they achieve that? And they actually they beat us to the extended duration. That's a little bit unfortunate, but yeah. So they are hard on our heels over here. Lots of people back. Yeah, I think that's fine. Nevertheless, I'm happy with the turn. And here we go. There are some new developments. So, President is very happy. And because we did just send a probe to the moon, we can now send probes to Venus and to Mars. And that is a very lovely thing. So, nevertheless, first of all, let's cancel the Juno 2 boost over here. There's no use for us anymore, so that's fine. It's going to save us a little bit of money just to close that down. Since we are here, we can think about assigning people to some other things. It's fine, we don't have a good rocket engineer right now already. The Pioneer 4, since we did conduct a lunar flyby, we can close this program right now, and that's fine. And very lovely, I think, actually. So that's good. We can think about the orbiting frog mission over here, which is literally just that. It's putting frog into orbit. What do we need? We could use the Atlas Agena or the Atlas booster. Now, mind you, the Atlas booster is a little bit pointless by now. On the other hand, the reliability of the Atlas Agena is simply not where I want it to be. And even though this is a little bit more expensive, I think we can definitively do this mission. We have a very good rocket. We have a pretty decent satellite over here as well. So, and it would give us an achievement of the study of microgravity on amphibians, which I think is very lovely. So yeah, let's schedule this mission as well. Let's all assign some people. No. So you're going to be over here. You're fine. Who's going to be our flight director? Jose again. Fine. Yeah, I think I can live with that. A little bit more expensive again, but I think fine. So we probably want to open some more missions then, and that might include Project Mercury, which would be over here. Project Mercury, Gemini, sorry. Just be able to do so. I think it's not, the time is not right though. So we do have 2 programs already that we could run. So let's think about more lunar probes. In particular, Pioneer 2 would be, I think, a very good choice. Would allow us to get A lunar orbiter. More mapping of the surface of the moon. That's good to see. Study of the structure. Lunar impactor would also be very nice. Closer pictures, level 1. Yeah, I think the Soviets might also have one of these things, so what would that entail? Just a single mission, right? Yeah. Let's open up this program. It's going to cost us a little bit. That does mean we cannot launch Mercury right now. It will require Atlas Agena, but it will also require some research anyway, so let's go ahead. Let's manage the research on things. The orbiting frog, actually, should you be researching that? Yeah, let's continue to do so, just for a little bit of an improvement in potentially our system over there. And you're gonna make some big impact over here, which I appreciate very much as well. We can train up one astronaut, Cynthia. Do train your fitness until you're 085, please. Or 87, yeah, I think that's alright. Good. We have scheduled some missions, right? Yeah. And that does mean we need to do some things for our flight directors. And train you guys up a little. So I think you are new. Ellen isn't. So first of all, I thought we could think about new flight directors. Paul, I'm using you nearly every turn. So including the people who are on training, and I mean the people who are on basic training, who's our second best propulsion engineer? Federico's, yeah, you're being trained. Alex, I would like a second propulsion engineer. I did hire a couple of people though. These guys. Yeah, you can do systems though. Who else? Basic training. Trajectory. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, so what we're gonna do is take Alex over here. He's gonna be our second propulsion engineer. Go to advanced training, go to propulsion, set to continuously train until you are at least level 82. That should be fine. Good. Who else is available then right now? Not assigned available. You definitely mission operations. Continue to do that. Trajectory. It's fine. So I think both of these people were actually potential flight engineers. Sorry, potential people for flight director post. Let's keep an eye on everyone. So flight director is a difficult position simply because it's so difficult to train up these people. Franks. 97, 34 years of age. Yeah, I think Frank is gonna be our next one of our next flight directors. So we will give him a little bit more general training. That does mean we need someone else for crew and payloads though. So yeah, let's see who we've got. We've got Eric, we've got Frank, and we've got a couple of people who are doing different things actually. And then we have actually Alexander over here, Alexander John. So yeah, Alex, you're definitely gonna be one of our next people, but you're stuck in training for now. Jose, you're assigned to something. Okay, that's fine. Who's available? Current payloads, we do need a couple of people doing that actually, so Kathy might not actually be too bad. Although I'm also thinking of training some people up just from scratch for flight director post. It's probably silly, isn't it? So yeah, let's put Kathy here as well. Does mean we are only training up 2 people right now to do this job, but I think that's gonna be alright. So let's make sure you are training that. Again, you should be pretty obvious, and you are definitely a spacecraft systems engineer. And that does leave us with a couple of requirements. I would like to get more trajectory people, but you really seem like a mission operations person, so Shanti. But that's only because I trained you up in that. What's the difference actually? 20 points. But 10 points. Yeah, I do need more nav people. Again, who's in basic training though? Alexander, we'll need you for something else. You could be a trajectory person, and you're gonna probably be a systems person. So that does mean that Shanti over here will be trajectory, and simply so that I don't forget what you actually are. Let's make sure you're all pretty good at that before you do come back and bother me. Right, I think that's a good time to end this season. The frog. The rocket. Oh, the rocket is coming up nicely actually. And Ranger. Just one person researching that is pretty good already. So, let's watch the frog of the Earth. Kind of funny mission actually. I don't know why. I find it funny. It's a valid scientific experiment. But
Sequence. Go. Electrical. Go.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. And we
you had
have
me
a
nervous
liftoff.
there at the 0. But it did seem to be a good
We have a
countdown.
liftoff at 24 minutes after the hour.
God damn it. Okay, so there is a problem that is occurred in the launch phase over here. The flight controllers are working, and they do have a 90.5% chance to fix it. We could hire a team, but I'm not going to do that. It's only a very marginal improvement, so right now our people are pretty good at that actually, so let's hope that they will fix it. Yeah, they do. So they saved the frog, which I find very... I don't know why, but I find that...
Light Fighter, we're right on the
very
nominal.
satisfying.
Roger, on a nominal.
Ascent is successful. Biosatellite deployment seems
Go for
to be
deploy.
going good as well. It's nice to see. And then we can watch these space geckos, space frogs orbit the Earth. Very good. So mission successful. Very nice to see. It's only one season, and it does earn us quite a bit of prestige. That's nice. So there we go. More importantly, it doesn't allow us to close this mission profile. So that's fine. Lovely. Soviets are beating us on the extended duration. And they're opening new things. God damn it, we need to get ahead then with our manned flight missions. Nevertheless, before we forget about it, let's close the orbiting frog. There we go. Project Mercury. It would allow us to do the simultaneous launch. Should think about the space probe over here. Let's make sure we get these people in the right order. You're not very qualified at doing that. That's a good improvement already. Mercury spacecraft, fine. Rocket programs. Atlas booster. Do we need it? I think this is not ready yet. No, it's not. So we cannot actually open the Titan research yet. We could, however, open the Gemini project, and that would allow us to already at least research the spacecraft, the EVA suit, and the target vehicle. And these things would be good to start researching. You know what? We have enough money. Let's open that up. I'm also feeling a little bit hunted by the Soviets, so the first mission of that is a suborbital flight, and for that we can still use the Atlas. So I think that's a very good... Well, we might actually use the Atlas Agena, which is a little bit cheaper. Oh well, let's delay that decision because the current reliability of this is really not good enough. Nevertheless, we can now go back to the space complex, headquarters, manage our payloads R&D, and specifically do the Gemini... sorry, what? No, Mercury? Gemini, yeah, Gemini. 56 currently. We do have some people who are pretty decent at that. Is Adam actually? Adam, are you You're actually more of a human-rated rockets guy, which we don't have right now. So let's pick these two people who are not the greatest, but still they're gonna boost that slightly. EVA suits, we do have some people who are pretty good at that. Blake and Sarah in particular. Someone called Mark, who's probably in training right now. And we have the Agena target vehicle over here, which is... So you're on the Ranger. Could send one of you down here to research that. I think we're just gonna probably wait on the people who are doing their training. Yeah, a lot of people who are finishing their training next turn. 2 people who are available. You can further your understanding of human-rated rockets. You're very good at normal rockets, both of you actually, so let's keep an eye on our rocket program. Make sure that you are over here. Are these good enough improvements? I think we can send another person over here. 4%, 3 point, yeah, 0.8%. The last person doesn't really give us anything, so let's send him back to training so that we keep on cycling these people. Right, that should be alright. Good. Astronauts, likewise. We have a lot of flight controllers ready, so how would it actually make sense to do a Project Mercury joint launch? It's costing us quite some money. We can't use any other rocket, I suppose. No, we cannot. It would require 10 flight controllers only. We have 15 ready, so it might just be alright. Also 3 astronauts. Let's schedule this mission. Will allow us to do some things at least. Let's start with the flight director. Federer's over here should be fine. Everything else can be all assigned, I guess. Capcom and Nigel. Yeah, I think Nigel is who we thought would be a good candidate for that. Who else is in training right now? Can we pull anyone out of training who's good? Trajectory 92%. It's really the only person in training who's any good. Trajectory 92%. Trajectory 92%. Yeah, there's Jose. We could pull that differently, but I don't think that's required. So let's confirm this assignment. Over here, Mauricio. And who's better? Fabia? I think she's alright. Leadership is a little bit lacking. Then again, fitness and piloting are pretty good. So yeah, Fabia. So yeah, let's confirm these assignments. Again, very costly to do so. Does leave us with a little bit of funds just to keep you guys in training. Yeah, definitely. Wait a minute. So, flight director. It was Jose, but you're assigned already. Yeah, that's what's keeping on happening though. Alexander, you definitely should be. What did we say? Crew and payloads. And I want you to be at 85 at least, just so I know what you are. Good. Okay, let's. At least the only, yeah, you're only available. Okay, so a couple of you are new. Eric. Where does Eric come in terms of being a good? Very late. Of all the people, Eric comes in pretty late. I don't even see him. There he is. Yeah, okay, so Eric is not a good flight director. That does mean we can send him off to just continue to do the crew and payload training, which I think is alright. Howard, mission operations, please. So that does leave you guys. I think trajectory was fine. Mission operations, you're definitely spacecraft systems, and again, I don't want to really be bothered by training you up. And yeah, just get me good trajectory, people. You need so many of these. Good. That's fine. One astronaut. You're right for training. You need better fitness. Here we go. That's fine. Let's end the season, because this video is going on long enough. Right, Ranger 3 is developing nicely over here. Gemini and the Gemini EVA suit, yeah, that needs a lot of work before I can put anyone in there. Let's launch the mission, and that's gonna be probably the last thing that we do in this episode. Or you know what, since it's been going on so long, this is where we will continue to next time and see whether we can rendezvous 2 people in space, because as you can see it's gonna take a little while, 21 steps to do so. So, looking forward to do that next time. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.